The 2025 MLB trade deadline is quickly approaching, and I believe that this trade deadline is going to be one of the most interesting deadlines that we've had in years. Not because the biggest names in the world are going to be traded, but because there are a lot of teams in this weird gray area in between contenders and sellers. It'll be interesting to see where these teams in that gray area decide to go if they want to go all in and compete this year or choose to bolster their farm system in a relatively good seller's market. I have one idea for every team going into this year's trade deadline. Let's get right into the list. First up, I got the Detroit Tigers, the leaders in the AL Central right now, making a move for a starting pitcher, Andrew Heaney. The Tigers are looking to compete. They're without Jackson Jobe right now, and who knows if Alex Cobb will ever be healthy. Andrew Heaney is a quality veteran pitcher who is comfortable coming out of the bullpen if needed. He's been traded at the deadline before, and he has experience coming in and affecting an October-bound clubhouse. You're not going to get an ace with Andrew Heaney, but he might be one of the best arms on the market this season in a relatively weak trade market for starting pitchers. Next up, we have my Cleveland Guardians, and I do believe that they're at the low end of that gray area where it'll be interesting to see what they do at the deadline. I do think the play for them this year will be to sell off some of their expiring contracts for veterans. We'll talk more about those guys later, and while I would like this move to be extend Stephen Kwan with the money you save from trading away some of your veteran players, the Guardians front office doesn't seem to like giving out extensions in the middle of the season for whatever reason. So I'm going to go with something a little more realistic, and that's calling up CJ Kayfus. He's absolutely been on fire this year in the minors. You could definitely say the same for Chase DeLauder, but I think that Kayfus might be a little bit more major league ready at this point. Either way, post-trade deadline, let the young guys ride. Minnesota Twins, another interesting team to see if they'll buy or sell. I think that they might sell this year, but if they do try to buy, I don't think they're going to go all in. Maybe they go out and get some starting pitching depth, which I do think they need, from Colorado and Austin Gomber, figuring that his 3.86 ERA on the road compared to his 7.36 ERA while at Coors would make him a good change of scenery candidate. Third straight Twinner team here, and it's the Kansas City Royals. I'm not going to lie, this is the craziest idea I had for any team in this entire video, but hear me out. The biggest weakness I see with this Kansas City Royals roster is outfield production. But playing in Kauffman Stadium, it is essential that any Royals outfielder is a good fielder. Ceddanne Rafaela gives you platinum glove defense and production at the plate. He'd be a perfect Kansas City Royal, in my opinion. But you might be thinking, why in the world would the Red Sox trade him? They just gave him this huge extension in 2024. He's one of Craig Breslau's guys. Well, they have a logjam in the outfield, and maybe they want to commit long-term to Jarren Duran. There's been rumors that they would like to trade him. Maybe they don't. And with Abreu and Anthony, maybe Rafaela is the fourth outfielder in the mix. What do the Red Sox need? A first baseman. The Royals have first baseman. What if the Royals swapped Jack Caglione for Ceddanne Rafaela? I've really thought about this, and I think the Royals might have to give up a little more. But Jack Caglione is one of the top prospects in baseball, one of the hottest names in the sport right now. And if you think the Royals would decline that trade, Rafael is a stud. You might want to rethink that stance. Definitely a crazy trade, but so was the Rafael Devers trade. Maybe Craig Breslow is crazy enough to try it. Then we got the Chicago White Sox. They should definitely be selling. I don't know who on their roster is going to be that high in demand. One player that could attract some interest is Luis Robert. And I think this year is finally the year that the White Sox get him off the books. Look, I know his trade value is at an all-time low, but this offseason, he has a team option worth $20 million. And the way he's playing right now, batting 190, 600 OPS, I don't think you're picking that up. Might be worth it to get a prospect or two and move on. Now on to the NL Central. We have the Milwaukee Brewers. Top wildcard spot, and with their starting rotation, I think they're legit contenders. What I do think they need is infield production and a right-handed bat. Eugenio Suarez gives you both. I have seen a lot of Suarez to the Yankees rumors recently, so the Brewers will have to outbid the Yanks for Suarez's services, but I think he's a great fit in Milwaukee, and I'd like to see this trade get done. For the NL Central leading Chicago Cubs, I have a bit of a wild trade here, and it's the Cubbies going out and getting Joe Ryan from the Minnesota Twins. Joe Ryan is definitely going to be the biggest arm on the market. If he is on the market, this all hinges upon if the Twins view themselves as contenders or not. But on the chance that Joe Ryan is available, I think that he's by far the best pitcher on the market, and the Cubs need a starting pitcher. Who knows when Justin Steele will be back, and outside of Imanaga and Boyd, you really don't have any playoff caliber starters on this roster. Joe Ryan would come in and immediately be an ace for the Cubs. It would take a lot to lure him away from Minnesota, but I do think that the Cubs have the farm system to get a trade like this done and get Joe Ryan to Chicago. The Cincinnati Reds are a fun, young team, but they are on that cusp of, are they contenders? Are they not contenders? If they do add at the deadline, I don't think they're going to go all in. I do think they could use some veteran bullpen help. And I think Andrew Chafin of the Washington Nationals could be a good fit for them. This is definitely a guy that I could see Terry Francona leaning on. And he's a native of Ohio. He'd be right at home in Cincinnati. Next up, the St. Louis Cardinals, kind of in the same boat as the Reds. Fun, young, and exciting, but really don't know if they're contenders or not. I don't think they'll go all in. They could use some bullpen help. And here they could get Paul Sewald for pretty much nothing, because as a Cleveland Guardians fan, I want him as far away from my team as possible. So the Cardinals can add a veteran reliever who's been a closer before for pretty much nothing and keep it pushing, hopefully, for the postseason. There's going to be a lot of players from the Pirates in this video going to different teams. One player I do think they should keep is Paul Skenes, and that might seem like a no-brainer, but I always see some trade rumors floating around his name. Just don't do it. The Pirates could put together a very fun starting rotation in just a few years. I would like to see Paul Skenes be a part of that. Really don't want to end up seeing him on the Yankees or Dodgers. Now, as we move on to the NL East, first up we have the division-leading Philadelphia Phillies going out and getting a bullpen arm here, Dennis Santana. Pitching should definitely be the focus for the Phillies at this deadline. And while they could definitely use a starter, I think the bullpen deserves a little bit more attention first. Dennis Santana has emerged as Pittsburgh's closer, and I think he could step into that same role for the other team in Pennsylvania. The only problem with this fit is that Dennis Santana tried to fight a fan once, and we all know that Philadelphia fans are a little bit rowdy. So as long as that doesn't happen again, I think this is a good fit. Next up, we have the first, and I think only in-division trade of this entire video, Edward Cabrera going to the New York Mets. The Mets have a lot of injuries in their starting rotation right now. They could definitely use another starter. I've heard rumors that they've contacted the Marlins in regards to the availability of Cabrera. And from the Marlins perspective, Cabrera is 27 now. He's probably having the best year of his career so far. Might as well trade him at this peak value. You got guys coming up in the minors who are promising. Only downside in this case is you're moving them to a division rival. Next up, we got the Atlanta Braves, and I do not think they should panic at this year's deadline by any means. And I do not think they should trade Sean Murphy. With the emergence of rookie catcher Drake Baldwin, it looks like Sean Murphy could be a prime trade candidate, but I don't think the Braves should go through with it. Yes, Baldwin's been the better hitter, all things considered, but Sean Murphy's still a very capable hitter with an OPS over 800. Not to mention, Sean Murphy is a better fielder than Drake Baldwin. And with catcher being the most important defensive position on the field, would really be a great advantage to have two really quality catchers on your team, especially if they were both good enough to be a DH when they're not catching. I think the move here is to trade Marcell Ozuna and let the other catcher be the DH, at least in a platoon role. I thought the Nationals were going to trade Kyle Finnegan last year. It didn't happen. He's still on the roster. But I think 2025 is the year for this move to happen. He's a free agent in 2026. I don't see him as a core member of this team moving forward. Get a prospect or two for him. And then for the Marlins, I don't think they should trade Sandy Alcantara. His trade value is at an all-time low right now. And personally, I just still believe in him. He's a warrior at heart. He's going to go out there and compete every day. He hasn't had his best stuff this year, but I'd rather make a bet on him to turn his career around than trade him away for a low return. Now we move on to the AL East. We have the New York Yankees going out and getting Nolan Arenado. It's no secret that the Yankees are looking to upgrade their third base position this year. I've heard rumors of Eugenio Suarez to the Yankees, but I've also heard rumors that Nolan Arenado might be on the trade block. Arenado has a top 3 reputation as a third baseman in this league. He's a defensive wizard and still a good offensive player. I have heard that some teams are afraid of trading for him due to his big contract, but I don't really think that's a problem for the Yankees. And they do like getting the big name guys. If anyone's going to trade for Nolan Arenado, it's going to be the New York Yankees. And then for the Boston Red Sox, I also have them going out and getting a third baseman, Ryan McMahon from the Colorado Rockies. A bit of a down first half offensively for McMahon, but his reputation is still good at the plate. I think McMahon could be a stopgap first baseman for Boston, as well as an option at third base if Alex Bregman was to walk in the offseason. He is under contract until 2027 and is due $16 million a year for the next 2 years, so this would be a bit of a commitment for Boston if they were going to go out and get him, but I think that he could be a quality piece for them going forward, and it might be worth the risk, especially if they could get him from Colorado at a low value point. The Tampa Bay Rays are competitive again, and one thing that could make them a better team right now is more offense in the outfield. Bryan Reynolds is one of the most unlucky players in baseball right now, at least in the first half of 2025. His batting average is 50 points lower than his expected batting average, and his slugging percentage is over 110 points worse than his expected slugging percentage, based on batted ball data. So I fully expect his hitting stats to get a little bit better in the second half, get a little closer to his career norms. But the Rays are no stranger to advanced stats. They know this too. And while Bryan Reynolds is not a great defender, the Rays have plenty of defense in the outfield. They could hide him in a corner and pick up an elite switch hitting bat for their lineup. I fully expect the Baltimore Orioles to be one of the biggest sellers at this year's deadline. And one of the pieces that has to go is Charlie Morton. He's older, and while he was off to a really rough start to the year, he's really turned things around as of late. And with this pitcher trade market looking a little light, Charlie Morton might be an attractive arm for some of these teams looking for a veteran to help their team in a playoff push. And with Morton being a free agent at the end of the year, it really makes no sense for them to keep him. He's got to be on the move. The Toronto Blue Jays are one of the best teams in baseball right now that are in desperate need for starting pitching. With that being said, I really don't think they have the prospects to go out and get a top arm on the market this year. So I have them going out and getting Luis Severino from the A's. It's no secret that he's on the trade block for Sacramento. He's been much better on the road than he has been at home this year, with an ERA over 7 while in Sacramento and an ERA under 4 on the road. I don't think it would take a ton for the Blue Jays to take on his contract, and he would be a good option right now in their rotation. You just gotta hope that he likes it in Canada. Now let's swing it to the West Coast. Starting with the AL, we have the Seattle Mariners, and they need offense specifically at first base and specifically a left-handed hitter. So I think Josh Naylor could be a good fit for them because he's a left-handed hitting first baseman. That's instant offense. Good contact, good power. He's been a playoff performer in the past, not last year. But hey, maybe he's good this year. Plus, he's Canadian, so I don't think Seattle's going to be too much of a culture shock for him. I've heard rumors of Ryan O'Hearn, Carlos Santana to the Mariners. I like Josh Naylor the best for them. Next up, I have the Angels going out and getting Seth Lugo. I've heard rumors that Lugo might be one of the hottest arms on the market this year, and personally, I don't think he's that good. He had a really good year last year. I think it was more of a fluke than anything. And the Angels are kind of on that cusp if they should be sellers or if they should be buyers. So to me, it makes all the sense in the world that they will empty their farm system to go out and get Seth Lugo, one of the hottest arms on the market that probably won't even live up to that price tag. For the Houston Astros, I have them going out and getting Ramon Laureano. Right-handed outfielder seems to be a position of need for Houston. He could slot in at DH as well. And he's having a surprisingly good offensive year for Baltimore. OPS over 860 at the break, and I think he would hit a lot of home runs to the Crawford boxes. Houston should go out and get him. The Texas Rangers are another team where it's questionable if they're buyers or sellers, but one move they could make to strengthen their team at the deadline without mortgaging too much of their farm is going out and getting former All-Star closer David Bednar from the Pittsburgh Pirates. Bednar had a pretty rough year in 2024, but bounced back in 2025 so far. He's not a free agent until 2027, so that might drive up the price a little bit, but I think this is an attainable target for the Rangers at this deadline. And then finally, the nomadic A's. I think that they should trade away Miguel Andujar. We've already touched on Severino here, but Andujar is a free agent at the end of the year, and the A's just have a lot of really young players that they can test out at the positions that Andujar plays. Really doesn't make a lot of sense for him to stick around in Sacktown. Find him a new employer. Now we move on to the last division, the NL West, and we'll start out with the Diamondbacks here. I don't think the Diamondbacks will be sellers in the conventional sense. I think they're more retooling, but I definitely think there are some players that they could trade away at this year's deadline, one of them being Lourdes Gurriel. He's 31 at this point, has a $13 million player option at the end of the year. I think it might be a good idea for the Diamondbacks to maybe look in a different direction here. He's an average hitter, doesn't really offer you much on defense, and while I wouldn't be as urgent with a Gurriel trade as I would with a Josh Naylor Eugenio Suarez trade, I do think this might be a good opportunity to get a few good quality prospects for him and clear up more bats for some of the younger players. I think that Houston would be a good fit for Lourdes Gurriel. Then for the San Diego Padres, I have them going out and adding a right-handed bat in Marcell Ozuna. There's no clear everyday DH for San Diego this year, and I think that Ozuna could thrive in that role. At the very least, he could platoon with Gavin Sheets. At the end of the day, Slam Diego is lacking in power this year. Only 3 players above 10 home runs in their everyday lineup, and Ozuna could add a 4th. I think this is a good fit. The Los Angeles Dodgers are probably the best team in baseball, and they are a very well-rounded team, but one thing they do like to do is add versatility at the trade deadline, and Willie Castro would do just that. Quality switch hitter that plays pretty much every position. I could already see him in a Dodgers uniform. He could fill in the gaps for the injured Max Muncy, Kike Hernandez, maybe even get reps over Michael Conforto in left. This one just makes a lot of sense to me. The San Francisco Giants have been surprisingly good this year, at least to me, and they've already added one power left-handed bat to their lineup. Why not add another in Ryan O'Hearn? I think a first base upgrade should be the top priority for San Francisco at the deadline this year. Unless, of course, Devers ends up playing there. But let's face it, Dom Smith is probably not the answer long term. O'Hearn is having a career first half. He would come into San Francisco and provide instant offense. And even if he has to platoon with Wilmer Flores at first base, he could play the outfield as well. So I think they could fit him into the lineup most days. And he's even got a Pirates hat on. He's ready to go sailing in McCovey Cove. Then the last team of this video is the Colorado Rockies, the worst team in baseball right now. I think they should trade away Kyle Farmer. And the reasoning is simple here. They just got too many young players to be giving regular reps to Kyle Farmer. I think if you make this move, you can move Tyler Freeman back into the infield mix, get some of the younger outfielders up from the minor leagues. I would like to see Yanquiel Fernandez play every day. And I get Kyle Farmer can have veteran leadership, but I really don't see a point to him playing on this team in the second half. Get him to a contending team, especially one in need of some infield versatility. Now let's go rapid fire for a bunch of guys that I think could get traded, but didn't make the list so far. I'm going to go super quick through these. Merrill Kelly's probably the best pitcher I haven't named so far that could get traded. I think he might go to the Tigers. I think the Dodgers will add a reliever, and I think it could be Sir Anthony Dominguez because he's been pretty good lately. Lane Thomas could be an option for the Phillies if they like him more than Otto Kemp, but I honestly think that he ends up getting DFA'd. If Jarren Duran does get traded, I think it'll be either to the Dodgers or Padres, with Major League pitching going back to Boston in the deal. I think Gregory Soto could be an interesting arm in the Mariners bullpen. I've seen a few IKF to the Padres rumors, and I could buy it. I could see the Dodgers going out and getting Jacob Junis because they like his changeup. Also, maybe the Cubs. I could see Adrian Hauser going from the White Sox to the Red Sox. Even though Cedric Mullins is a free agent at the year's end, I don't know if the Orioles will trade him, but if they do, the Astros could be fun. Tyler O'Neill to the Reds just kind of makes sense to me. I've seen a bunch of rumors that the Brewers are in on Adolis Garcia, and I think it makes sense for them. I think Andrew Kitteridge could be a good fit for the Yankees. That would be his third team in the AL East. Jake Bird, a funky reliever with insane spin rate on his breaking balls, has Tampa Bay Rays written all over it. Ryan Mountcastle could be a good platoon option with Alec Burleson in St. Louis. Raisel Iglesias could give the Astros a different look out of the pen, and he's comfortable in high-leverage situations, but also, like, every team needs relievers at this point. And then finally, Carlos Santana, maybe the Brewers, maybe the Mariners. I think he definitely gets traded. It was nice to see him in a Guardians uniform one last time. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you for watching. Let me know if you agree or disagree for some of these ideas for every team in the MLB. Also, let me know what you want your favorite team to do at this year's deadline. And don't forget to subscribe.